Hello, everybody, and welcome to Sideline to Speedway. It is Mekhi, Winfrey, and Parker Merrey, as always, joining you on the broadcast. NASCAR Championship weekend has wrapped up. F1 only has 4 more races to go. 2 more on the American continents here. Sorry, I'm blanking out on words.
Yes.
And we'll go back to the Middle East and their season. But before we get to any of that, Parker, I want to ask you straight up. Did you have fun watching Phoenix this weekend?
I did have fun. Despite a lot of the controversies and issues that we're going to obviously get into on today's show, I thought it was a very enjoyable and intense championship race. It's not often we have a championship like literally come right down to the wire. We've never, well, actually in 2016, we saw the championship race go to overtime, but that's the only overtime period we've had in the Cup Series in this Final Four format. And so it was certainly thrilling. I'll give it that.
Is it really?
I believe so. I haven't fact checked it, but I'm pretty sure.
I'm trying to think. I don't
think there was another one. No, no. I just thought
there's late race yellows. Like I could think of late race yellows in 2011.
Yeah.
Or not 2011. 2021. I mean, 2014 had a late race yellow. Like there's a few I could think of.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, well, let's get into it. Let's get into the Phoenix. So obviously the race itself dominated by Denny Hamlin, right? He led 205 laps.
A lot.
About there, right? He led over 200. He led a lot of this race, and it seemed all but wrapped up that Denny Hamlin was going to take the win, take the championship, and that he was going to finally hoist the trophy that we have seemingly been waiting forever for him to do, right? It would have been almost poetic, his 20th season even. But it wasn't quite that simple, was it? So Denny Hamlin's leading with 4 to go. He's got about a couple seconds, probably about 2 seconds maybe over William Byron at this point.
A lot.
2 or 3 seconds. Much. 2 or 3 seconds over Byron and Blaney, who are battling for second. And then all of a sudden, while we're following Denny Hamlin, we hear the caution came out, and we see William Byron with his front tire down, headed right towards the outside wall. I want to ask you, in that moment, what was your initial reaction?
Denny Hamlin just lost his championship, is all I could think, because it puts you in such a bad strategic position. Now, I think Denny Hamlin made the wrong call. I think when you have the fastest car and you were the leader, I think you have to stay out. That's not the route that they chose, though. They chose to pit, and obviously we saw Larson stay out. But at the same time, it was also the William Byron being the one to blow a tire was actually a really good thing for Hamlin, because it kind of felt like the only car that could challenge the 11 was the 24. And so to see him go out, it's almost like it clinched the title for him. But with strategy, it obviously turned out to not be the case.
I think that's more on Chris. Well, no. Okay. I think it is more on Chris Gale if you're going to point the blame to anybody on that more than Hamlin itself. But
That's what I mean. Like the 11 team. Unit. Yeah.
I will say, though, I don't think in the end of the day, I think it's an impossible decision, because I hindsight, we're saying, yeah, he should have stayed out or he should have taken 2, right? Give himself better track position. But obviously that's not what happened. I think in the moment, you got to think about it this way, right? Denny Hamlin, 4 tires. He's like, oh, I'm just going to fly through these guys. But it was very evident to me the moment that they went into turn 1 and he couldn't slide to the apron like Heim did in the trucks. I was like, he's not getting there, because they're 3-4 wide in front of him. They're all over the racetrack. There's nowhere to go. Larson had took two previous pit stops. That's why he was in the position he was in. He did not pit out. He did not pit. That's what's important. He took 2. Briscoe was all the way behind him, and Byron obviously was out of contention at this point. So Hamlin takes 4, thinking, because let's think, if Hamlin takes no tires, in theory, you're thinking Larson's going to take 2 and drive by him, right? In theory. You're thinking Larson could also take 4. You're thinking Hamlin takes 2, that Larson takes 4, and he drives by, right? That's when you're on top of the pit box, that's what you're thinking. You're not thinking that, you got to think about what the other driver is going to do, right? In that situation. So I think they made the right call momentarily. Obviously, it didn't end up paying out that way. But it's just unfortunate, right? Denny Hamlin ends up going out to the final restart, trying to make up positions. Can't quite do it. Kyle Larson just kind of hangs in the outside lane, gets to about third, and that was all he needed to do. And Kyle Larson wins the 2025 championship, his second in his career. We talked about how it would be a legacy builder if he was able to do that. So he does end up doing so. Second in 5 years. Yeah, I mean, before I kind of ask you about the elephant in the room from the ending of that race, I want to ask you, what did you think of Kyle Larson's season entirely, considering he is the champion?
Well, it's interesting because we talked about in order to win a championship, you have to win at some point in the playoffs. Kyle Larson did not do that. Who was the only other driver to have won a
Kyle
championship without winning in the
Busch.
playoffs besides the title race? Kyle Busch. It's a Kyle thing. And Kyle Larson, we talked about before how if Larson did it, it would keep the streak up for Kyle's. And that's exactly what happened. So it's interesting because, as we're going to talk about, it's a very unpopular championship. But if you look at the full season format, which I don't like looking at because it involves so much hypotheticals, but so many people love to look at that. And for those people, guess who's the champion under that format? Kyle Larson wins it anyway. So, you know, I think it's right to feel bad for Denny Hamlin, but the people criticizing the format, it did get the champion right, even if it did it in an insane way. It did get the right champion at least.
I think before I give you my thoughts on the actual way he won the title, I think if you look at the season as a whole, Kyle Larson was a top 4 driver all season. I think he was. When you ask me who the 4 drivers that should have made the Final Four were, he was one of them. Kyle Larson had a great year. Obviously, he dissipated a little bit in the summer. He wasn't as good as he was in the spring, but he was still a top driver. I think at points Hamlin was better. I think Byron was a little better at points. I think Blaney was better, but Larson was a top 4 driver. He deserved to be in the championship race under this format, and he took advantage. He did nothing wrong in winning the championship. He himself just drove, and he got the title. Do I agree with the way that it happened? No, and it's not his own fault. I'm sure you also feel very strongly about how that ended. I'm sure you didn't want to see a championship ended because, well, a tire blew out, basically. But that's the result we got. So Larson wins the title. I mean, he only won the chase list by 14 points anyway over the guy who, well, blew his tire, William Byron. And that also doesn't count the fact stage points are into account. So you have to remember, if I'm pretty sure if we actually, I'll mathematically do this right now. So do you want to know what the actual gap would be with including the stage points from Phoenix? I'm doing it right now. So
Byron would have won the title by 4.
Would he have?
Yeah.
You did the math?
I just remember he got 18 stage points because he won a stage and then got 3rd.
But did Larson score stage points?
Oh, no, but it's between... Oh, I forgot Larson was the guy he was battling with. So let's see. How many did Larson win by? 14?
So Larson won it by 14. Byron, obviously 14 back. So Byron got 18 from the stages. So let's say he's 4 points ahead. Larson got 7. Well, Larson wins it anyway, but Larson got 13, meaning that it was 9 points.
Yeah.
9 points.
I don't know why, but for some reason I was thinking he was battling Bell for it. So I was no. But yeah, it was Larson, of course, as we talked about. But so I'm surprised that the people that do that full season format wouldn't take that into account. You know what I mean? That does surprise me.
Yeah.
They didn't take it. I remember they didn't take it into account in 2022. Because I remember Logano got like no points for his championship in the full season format. But that's weird. You'd think they would take that into consideration. But
that's just the NASCAR ruling. I don't know why they don't.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. I mean,
but yeah. So Larson wins it anyway, and in that format. But that's not the story of the weekend, is it? So why don't we go to the elephant in the room, as I called it earlier? The tires. We had plenty of them. Plenty of them failed out, right? I think Allmendinger had one right. I think he had a tire failure. I know, obviously, there was Byron at the end of the race. There's a couple more I'm definitely forgetting. I think Hocevar had one right, if I'm right.
Larson had one.
Hamlin had a clutch issue, which was unrelated, but just thought I'd throw that out there.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, there was another driver I can't remember off the top of my head. I think was it Gragson? Did he have one?
Yeah. Cendric had
Gragson,
one as
Cindric
well.
too. So there was tons. We just listed like what 8 drivers. It feels like that's a quarter of the field.
Yeah.
All had tire issues, and that's simply unacceptable, to be honest with you. But I wanted to ask you about that because we never really got to talk about it. Do you? I hate placing blame on things like that, but do you think that's more of a NASCAR thing or more of a Goodyear thing?
So to me, Goodyear, and we've talked about this numerous times on recent shows, Goodyear has done a fantastic job in the second half of the season by keeping the next gen car alive. The first half of the season was borderline unwatchable with how bad the racing was. You couldn't pass, there was no tire wear, and it was all about the dirty air. But Goodyear delivered a very soft tire that degradates at a very high rate, and it gave us some pretty good racing. It gave us maybe the best playoffs, probably the best playoffs we've had in the next gen
Couple of
cars.
years, last couple of years, yeah.
Yeah. It's probably since like 2022. So, you know, the Goodyear did their job, I believe. They brought a very soft tire that at times pushed the boundaries of how much wear you actually want in a race car. At times we would see some blowouts, but overall they got it pretty right, I would say. But then we come into this championship race where there's high temperatures and you involve the dog leg as well, which is very rough on the tires, and you involve the championship 4 teams being the most aggressive they're going to be all year on their tire pressures. And it adds up to, I think, the perfect recipe for a high amount of tire failures. And that's exactly what we got. Specifically out of the championship 4 guys.
Three
We
of the
saw
four.
Briscoe have 2. We saw Byron have 1. We saw Larson have 1. Even Hamlin had 1, but a
He had a
caution came out
vibration,
before.
I think.
Yeah, a caution came out before his could blow. So all 4 of the championship drivers had at least one tire issue throughout the race. And then we saw a few other drivers also have these issues. But I don't think it's a coincidence that almost half of the tire failures were from championship drivers. I think those were the guys being most aggressive with tire pressures. And then, of course, you add all the other elements, and it just created a perfect storm. But I put the blame on the next-gen car for being so bad that Goodyear has to bring these softer tires to even salvage good racing out of it. That's a next-gen issue for sure.
That's exactly what I was going to say. I think that if you're NASCAR, you're asking a lot of Goodyear to be perfect for 10 playoff races. Like, let's be real. Since it was probably about May that Goodyear made a statement saying they were trying new tires, right? I remember they were talking about it. So it's been about, 6 months they said they were trying new tires? Eventually, they were going to have a race or two that tire failures were just common, right? And it wouldn't be excusable if this was just a hard tire and all of a sudden we went and it just started blowing at Phoenix. Like, that's unacceptable. But they were trying new things because they were trying to make the racing better. So, if anything, props to Goodyear for making an effort to at least give us something watchable, you know? Like, obviously, Phoenix is not the easiest track to pass at, but the tire wear made it so that you could at least pass if you were on a new set of tires, right? So, we saw that. We saw different strategies, which was fun. And I think again, when I think of like a great track that had tire wear this year, I think a track like New Hampshire, which is very similar to Phoenix, that was a great example of how to do tire wear. I think Bristol was a good example. Those are good races of how tire wear should be. And I don't blame Goodyear at all because NASCAR is basically for the past 4 years been asking Goodyear, hey, we need your good tires so we can have good races. When I ask you what was objectively to most people one of the best races in 2024, what do people usually say?
The Bristol Spring Race.
What was the main characteristic of that race?
The high tire wear.
What was the worst race objectively of 2024 to most people? To most people.
A few.
There's a few, but I'm thinking of one in particular. If you don't guess it, you don't know? Okay. Well, funny enough, that same track, the Bristol night race. What was the difference about that Bristol night race?
It had no tire wear.
Exactly. They ran 150 laps on no tire wear. So that's my problem. This Goodyear issue is not a Goodyear issue. Goodyear is doing all they can. And they're also the only tire provider, meaning that they don't have other tires trying different things. So NASCAR is relying on them specifically. When you're asking, if they had a safer tire, like I don't know, let's just say who was the old tire
Hoosier.
Hoosier. Let's just say Hoosier was still around, right? If Hoosier made a safer tire and Goodyear was trying different things, then you have an argument, right? You could be like, oh, well, whatever. You're not relying on one tire, but that's not the case. It's not. So NASCAR relying on Goodyear to make their cars passable and racing, it's just not fair. It's not fair to them, honestly. So props to Goodyear for giving us good cars and good racing for the past 5-6 months. Because honestly, since Michigan in the late spring, it was a very fun season. But obviously, it sucks that it ends the way it does. And to make the matters worse, of course, the guy that gets boned out of the championship is the guy who most of the fan base wanted to see win the championship. So
most of the fan base.
Most of the fan base. Keyword. I know you're not.
There were a few select.
Yes, I know.
I
know. There's a few select small people, but yes, generally the fan base wanted to see him win it. So I don't know. That's disappointing in my opinion. But we could harp on the tires forever, right? I mean, we could go back and forth about how NASCAR needs to fix their car and whatnot, but at the end of the day, the result stands the way it stands. So I guess moving with that, I wanted to ask you, based on how the results of the Final Four went, of course it was Larson, Hamlin, Briscoe, Byron, what would or did a championship in this race mean to them? I want to start with Chase Briscoe.
So I think a championship for Chase Briscoe would mean, I don't know, that's a tough one because it would mean that he's way ahead of schedule on where he should be in his career. Let me put it that way, because this was not supposed to be the year for Chase Briscoe to be a championship contender. It's his first year with a new race team, getting acclimated to the new car, the new team, the new everything. He should not have done as good as he did. So for him to perform this well and make the Final Four and be a championship contender, if he was able to win the championship, that would put him so far ahead of schedule. And it would really raise questions about how high his ceiling really is as a race car driver. So let me put it this way. Of all of the 4 drivers, Briscoe had the least to lose. Let me put it that way, because
he could have finished 20th and people would have been like,
yeah, nobody is going to fault Chase Briscoe for losing this championship. Nobody, because he's so far ahead of schedule. So a lot to gain, not much to lose for Briscoe.
Yeah, I'm in the same boat. I think if Chase Briscoe had won this championship, we would have had a completely different discussion about him as a driver. He would have entered a whole different echelon. We talk about Bell, Larson, Blaney, Byron, Hamlin, and Elliott. That's kind of the general 6 right there. He would have been in that group. He would have been comfortably in that group and made it 7 if he had won the championship. But obviously it's not the result we got. Still had a great year. But his goal was really just to make the round of 8, prove that he can do that in a competitive way. He did that, in fact, made the Final Four. So Briscoe has a good year. I think a championship for him would have done wonders, but it doesn't matter that he lost it. I'm going to go to one that I think is... I'm going to go to the one that I think we all anticipated would happen at the start of the season, which is William Byron. He was the favorite going into this year, I think. So, what would a championship have done for William Byron?
A championship for him would have been... It would almost feel like a championship overdue. And obviously he's not the longest overdue of these 4, but in 2023, he was really good. He was pretty much the consensus best driver throughout most of that season. Obviously couldn't get it done at the end. In 2024, he had another good year, made it to the Final Four, but once again did not have the speed to get it done. And so this year it kind of felt like the third time was the charm, with him being as good as he was in the regular season, being pretty much the best driver for 35 out of 36 races. So for him to win this championship, it would have been like, we finally did it. It would have been a huge sigh of relief. But with him losing it, it's going to become even more frustrating, because, like, what do they have to do to win a championship? It just feels like no matter how close they get, they just cannot seem to get it done. And he doesn't want to get stuck in the same loop that Denny Hamlin has been in for the past 15 years. So losing the championship for Byron is a little concerning, but ultimately he's so young. He has plenty of championship years left. But winning it would have meant a lot for him. It would have just been a big sigh of relief.
I think Hendrick's struggles in the championship race are worth noting. It has become apparent. ever since the next gen cars started. At first, it was just at first when Elliott was off of Logano and Blaney at that championship race, it was like, oh well, Penske just showed up fast. And then the next year when Blaney outran Larson and Byron, it was just like, okay, Blaney's really good at Phoenix. Then last year was concerning. Byron couldn't get anywhere close. Then this year again, JGR just nailed it. Not even a Penske car, just Gibbs with Hamlin nailed it. So
Yeah.
Hendrick has fallen behind at Phoenix in the championship race.
Yeah. And by the way, Blaney and Logano were faster than Larson this past week.
In fact, one of them won the race, which I'm gonna get to him in a moment. Trust me, I didn't forget. But I wanted to obviously talk about the Final Four first. But back to Byron here. If a championship had been won by the 24, I think it would have honestly, and I know it sounds crazy, it would have capped off. It would have been the final, honestly, like main accolade he would have needed, because he won a regular season title, he won a 500, he's almost won a Coke 600, almost won a Southern 500, so he's already done it, like he's technically already done what feels like everything you can do, right? With a few exceptions, of course. So if he had won this championship, that would have just been at 27 years old. You're already halfway done with everything you could do. But that's not what happened. For him, again, super young. He's got time to go and win championships and all these races. He would have, in my opinion, passed his teammate Chase Elliott on an all-time list if he had won this title. But not to be.
People are not ready for that debate. Yes. I am absolutely on your side on that one.
He would have done it. A championship and two 500 wins would have been. He technically, I know people, and I'm not saying that he would be better than him, but technically those two stats would be just about parallel with Denny Hamlin. Just saying.
It would be.
But Byron, I think, again, not winning this championship, it stings, but it's not the end of the world. I want to talk about the champion first, because I purposely want to wait for that last one. Let's talk about Larson. What does winning this championship mean for Kyle Larson?
Winning the championship for Larson, of the four, probably means the least, because Kyle Larson's legacy has almost nothing to do with his accomplishments. Kyle Larson's legacy is from his pure speed and talent. Whether he wins one championship or 10 championships, he's going to be viewed as one of the greatest drivers ever. And so winning a championship, it's like, great job. You know, he's a fantastic driver. He did it, but it doesn't add a whole lot to his legacy, because I feel like his legacy is already incredible, that it's like he doesn't even need more championships. I think now it's just more of getting himself up on the all-time drivers list. But in terms of what it proves for him as a driver, we already knew he was great enough to win, 2 championships and more.
I mean, I would say that this championship was just one that he should have won last year, point blank. I think that he was the best driver last year, right? I think we both agree on that. So I think it literally was just him getting it a year late, in a year that he should have gotten it last year. So he should be a 2-time champion. He now is. For him, it's really he's the same amount of he's one championship off of Joey Logano, who he's right behind in the wins list. So there's already discussion about who's better between the two of them. I know, obviously, you are much on the side of Logano. I'm sure.
On an all-time list, yes, but I think talent-wise, Larson's more talented. Yes. I think there's two different things there.
I'm talking about an all-time list here. So, Larson, again, winning a championship, that definitely aids his case. He's now chasing 3. So that's a different discussion to have. Now, if he wins next year, then I think we have an interesting argument to have. But that's
depends on how many wins each of them get.
That's down the line. But yeah, I think this championship doesn't mean too much in the moment for Larson. It's more of a legacy builder than anything else. But let's get to the elephant, the other elephant in the room. There's 2 of them that came out of this weekend: the tires and then this. What does winning, and in this case, not winning the championship, mean for Denny Hamlin?
Honestly, this was the biggest championship loss we've seen in maybe the Final Four era. You have a guy who's never won a championship come in and dominate the race, and he desperately needs a championship for not just his placing on the all-time list, but for his legacy. I don't think he wants to be he said in interviews he's okay with being another Mark Martin or Junior Johnson.
I don't think deep down that's how he feels.
Deep down inside, I promise you he wants a championship. Look at the emotions that he had after the race. He wants a championship more than anything else. And so losing this championship, And you know me, I'm not a Denny Hamlin fan, but I was heartbroken to see the way he lost it. All the stuff going on with his dad, it potentially being his last chance to see Denny win a championship, and so for that to happen, it's just heartbreaking. And I didn't like to see it. Denny went and outright showed the pace to win the championship, and it didn't happen. So it was a huge loss for him. Winning the championship would have meant everything. It would have established him as a top 10 to 15 driver of all time. Potentially. I would have to kind of look at the list.
I think he's already in that top 15, but he would have had a serious argument for the top 10, in my opinion. At least an argument. I mean, a couple things for me. I think, for one, of course, they used to mention all the family stuff and whatnot. This is the first championship that he did literally everything right. He, the driver, did nothing wrong in this race. 2010. Think about that. You think about how he spun himself battling for 34th while trying to make it through the field. Cost himself that championship, right? He was young, so he chalked it up to that. Doesn't compete for a few years. 2014, that team was just not ready to win the title. It just wasn't. Keep going. Then 2015, 16, 17, just about the same year. Not really a championship throughout. 2018, he goes winless. Then he really flipped a switch in 2019. 6 wins, I think it was. He rattled them off. That year, leading at Homestead, by the way, competing for the title. They put too much grill tape on the car, right? That's, again, not in his control, per se, but that's a team mistake, right? Can't afford to make it. Then he got, I think it was after that year, was that the first year with Gabe Hart, or was that the year after?
That was the first year with Gabe Hart, 2019.
And then this would start the streak. 2020, they made it to the Final Four, just were not fast enough. They just were blatantly not fast enough. 2021, same thing. They were closer that year, but again, just not fast enough to beat the 19, or probably the 9, honestly, if he had gotten track position. And then you go to, he doesn't make the Final Four for 3 years. There's the Hail Melon, there was the 2023 Martinsville race, and then there's the whole 2024, all these things, and then you lead up to this race. You lead up to this year, and this something felt different. I think you can agree. Something just about this year, he seemed like a different driver going into this championship race than he did in years past. It seemed like he was ready. He mentally was ready to win the championship, and then nothing of his own fault, nothing in his own control, and then it's not his call if he pits or not. So I'm not blaming Chris Gale. This is on NASCAR for relying on Goodyear, if anything, and their format and their playoff and all the playoff formats and whatnot. That's on that. There's nothing the 11 team could have done because they were in a lose-lose situation, I feel like. And then what it means for him, I think of this. I saw a quote after the race. He said, I'm sure it blew up, so I know you saw it too. It was, at this moment right now, I don't even feel like I don't even want to be a race car driver anymore.
Yeah, I saw that.
You know what this exact moment reminds me of a lot? The 2016 Homestead finale. A lot of it. There's a lot of parallels. Both Joe Gibbs drivers. Both were kind of nearing the end of their career. Edwards, maybe not, but he kind of seemed like he was headed that way, the way he would talk. Both never won a championship and had the best car in the finale race, and they had been constantly coming up short in championships. Both of them had a late race caution out of their own control, and both of them, whether it was the driver making a move to try and win the championship or a driver making a pit stop trying to win the championship, both lost, trying to do the right thing. It's unfortunate, and it sucks, and nobody wants to watch a dude who is clearly deserving of a title not have one. But that's what it meant. That is what it meant. It meant a solidified legacy, and just there would be no more ifs about Denny Hamlin. He would have done everything. But I've heard there's rumors he might retire. I don't know if he will. I don't think he will.
No, I don't think so. But I would be very shocked if he retired.
If he does, I'm not even gonna give my whole spiel on it. If he does, we'll talk about it when that time.
We can save that for when it happens, if it happens.
But as for next year, I don't know. This feels like the year that it would have happened, man. It really does. But we move forward. I'd like to cover the rest of Phoenix real quick because there was other things that happened. Ryan Blaney, he won a race, by the way. He won another Phoenix race. I guess that's technically his. Is that technically his first win at Phoenix?
It is his first win at Phoenix.
That's incredible.
Crazy as it sounds. Chastain stole one from him in 23, so he just went ahead and stole it from the championship drivers this year.
Yeah, I don't know. Ryan Blaney just was not happy with not having a win at Phoenix. He finally had to do something about it. So
Yeah.
Blaney takes the W. It wasn't without a last lap pass, which he's infamous for. Brad Keselowski stayed out on old tires, goes into turn 4 on the last lap. Oh my God, everybody was certain that he was winning this race. We were like, oh my, everyone wasn't even focused on it. We were all so certain he was winning that nobody was looking at him. Coming through turn 4, I see him slide up the racetrack, and I see Blaney slide underneath, and I was like, oh my God, and then Brad Keselowski lost the race. So
yeah, that was wow.
Ryan Blaney takes his 4th win of the year and caps off what is his best season of his career to date. I don't know, man. That's a heartbreaking one as a Blaney fan, to watch him basically win the championship race and not the championship because he wasn't in the championship for. But you can't do anything about it. Blaney takes the W. Brad Keselowski is a good result. I want to mention a couple other drivers. Kyle Busch got a top 5. So that was nice to see. Look, it's a good day when Kyle Busch drives good. It's a good day.
Yeah. The sport is better when Kyle Busch is good.
I agree. I agree. As much as that was a bad ending, he was a little bright spot. A couple other things I wanted to mention. Of course, we had all the tire blowouts. We talked about that. This was the last race for Suarez in the 99. That was a stable for 5 years. It was the last race for Haley in the 7. So a couple of things there. I saw a thing. Cole Custer made it to 32nd in points. I just wanted to note, I don't know if you know this, I made a prediction sheet before the season started. I had him finishing 32nd in points. I can show you after. That did happen somehow. I don't know how I got that right.
So why would you even how would you even know that?
I don't know. It was just off rip. It was just one of 2 I got right. I got Custer and Cody Ware, which everyone would have thought Cody Ware, but I didn't think Cole Custer was getting 32nd, I guess.
I mean, like, how did you even know you had him at 32nd before the season started?
I
would have forgotten about that.
I fact checked. I went to go check the prediction sheet that we have.
I thought you looked at the stands. You're like, there you got 32nd. Yeah.
No. We have a prediction sheet. Me and a couple of our other friends. And I went to scroll through, and I went to see my predictions. I saw 32nd for Cole Custer, and I checked the standings. It's like, oh my God, he got 32nd.
And you got Cody Ware right.
I got Cody Ware right, which, thank God. Anyway, let's wrap up Phoenix here. Is there any other drivers or any other thing that you noticed? I know Logano was fast. I'm sure you would like to talk about that for a moment.
Nah, I mean, it's kind of just
It's
part of
typical.
the course of Phoenix. It's expected that the Penske car is going to be fast. So, yeah, not much else to say about Phoenix, honestly. It was an eventful race to watch. Ty Gibbs was fast again. I mean, Ty Gibbs has been...
Barry and Priest were quick, too.
Yeah.
The other driver I want to mention, Chase Elliott. Dude, he can't catch a break. Literally, this guy can't catch a break. I think he was leading late and then got caught speeding on pit road.
Yeah.
Like very unfortunately.
He was amongst Byron and Hamlin and then got the speeding penalty.
He was he was the other car that could have beaten the 11. So that was.
I don't think anyone could have beaten the 11.
Theoretically, we're saying here, is the other car that could have. So interesting.
Like in a straight up race, I don't think anyone was beating the 11. There was a point early on where it looked like the 24 was faster on the long run. You remember that one long run where Byron ran him down. But after that, the speed from the 24 really wasn't there. It must have been a good adjustment from the 11 because from that point on, the speed was always there.
Must have been the wind. The wind.
And we didn't really get a long run because of all the tire issues, so we didn't really get to see if the 24 still had that long run speed.
So that's about all I've got from Phoenix. I'm gonna come back to NASCAR actually at the end of this episode because I do have something I want to hit on before we end the show. But we'll move over to F1 here momentarily. We talk about drivers trying to secure championships, right? We don't really talk about the teams in NASCAR too much. But where we do talk about the teams is F1. How bad would it be if McLaren, for the second year, not second year, well, I guess, you could say second year in a row fumbles it, but I was going to say, for the second time in their team's history, with 2 competitive drivers at the front of the championship, fumbles it to a guy that's not on their team. Second time in 20 years.
Yeah, it would be an awful look. not only would it be an awful look for just this year, but it would be an awful look when you look at historically how many championships McLaren have blown. I mean, think of all the fantastic race cars that they've had that they weren't able
2012.
to close out the deal. The 2012 season, the 2010 season, all of those early to mid 2000 seasons, like 2003 and 2005, where Kimi Räikkönen was so quick and they just couldn't deliver a reliable race car to him. So just so many blown championships for the McLaren drivers, and whether it's from reliability or their own drivers getting into each other or getting into other issues, they just have a knack for blowing championships. And I guess when you're as good of a team as McLaren, you're gonna blow some championships here and there. So I guess it kind of makes sense. But I mean, look at Mercedes. I mean, they win just about every championship they should. You know, you could argue 2021 was they lost, but that was more out of their control. But every year, pretty much every year outside of that they're in contention, they get it done at the ends.
McLaren would be the worst on the grid at that if Ferrari did not exist. But Ferrari, Ferrari in fact does exist. Yeah. So McLaren is saved, I guess.
Or look at Red Bull. They never blow championships. Every year that they have the quickest car, they win it. I don't think they've ever blown a title. I don't think so. Every year they didn't win it, they weren't the fastest car. Some would say 2009, but no one's going to beat that Braun GP car.
That Braun car was. They gave him one season of cheated up race car and said, "Go have at it."
Yeah, half a season. After the summer break, they had like the 4th fastest car. So like, they literally were running on empty. That was
fun. It was funny. It's funny looking back at that. But anyway, that's besides the point. My whole point leading into this was we head to Brazil this weekend. We talk about Mexico being one of Max's best tracks. This is arguably one of Max's best tracks. And I say this because what happened last year we went here? Same situation pretty much, except Max was in the title lead. But what happened last year?
He won the race.
Who did he beat?
Lando Norris, maybe?
And what position is Lando Norris in the championship right now?
He would be the championship leader right now.
And where did Piastri finish in this race?
Last year, I do not remember.
I can tell you right now it was behind Norris. I can also tell you right now that means that Max beat both McLarens, and I can tell you as well that Max drove from the back of the field.
He did that.
So, I don't know about you, but I'm a betting man in F1. So, in F1. And I would tell you, if I was a betting man, which I am, that Max has probably a really, really, really good chance. $20? You want to put $20 on it?
Oh, you said you were a betting man.
Yeah, we can put $20 on it. You want to put $20 on it?
No.
Oh, he's scared. He's scared.
I'm not scared.
He's scared. You won't put $20 on it, but whatever.
We'll see.
Max is undeniable, of course, and if he wins at Brazil, let's live in La La Land, right? Just hypotheticals. Max wins, Lando second. That's 7 points that he takes out of that lead. He's 36 back. That puts it to 29 immediately, with 3 races to go. That's not comfortable. I'm telling you, with the fact that Piastri's right there and these two are racing each other and Max is just here, but catching them like this, I'm telling you, you don't want Max to win this race. But I guess instead of living in hypotheticals, I should ask you, who do you actually think the podium will be at Brazil?
All right, so if I had to take a guess what the podium is going to be, give me Max Verstappen to win the race. I think they've been really good at Interlagos, and I haven't quite seen it out of the McLarens yet. Haven't seen it out of them in a while. I believe the last one at Brazil would be the Jenson Button win in 2012. So, we haven't really seen them have too much success there as of late. The team as a whole hasn't had much success, but you know what I mean. So I'm going to have Verstappen winning just because I've seen more out of him at Brazil. And give me Norris second and Leclerc third. For that Ferrari's been kind of sneaky good lately. And Oscar Piastri, I can't feel comfortable putting him on the podium when he's been awful for the past few weeks. It's just something so off about that team.
Do you want my hot take this weekend?
What's your hot take?
There will not be a McLaren on the podium.
Oh my gosh. I heard rumors of there being rain this weekend. Is that true? Is that a true story?
Let's check. Let's check the Sao Paulo weather.
I heard some rumblings of some weather.
Let's check.
Some imminent weather.
Let's check Sao Paulo and see. There is rain in the forecast for every day until Sunday, which that's Sunday for us. So I don't
Wow.
know. We'll see. We'll see. It'll be a wet qualifying, it looks like. So
Interesting.
I have Verstappen winning. I have Leclerc second. And I have him finally getting a podium with Ferrari. Give me Lewis in third.
Hey, all right. I
I'm gonna
like it.
do Max, Leclerc, and Lewis will be my podium this week.
I like it. I like it.
Ferrari looks actually really fast. Like honestly, they look like maybe arguably the fastest overall car right this moment. Like this moment.
At this very second,
This
at
very
8:14 p.m.
Yes,
on
this
November
very
4th, 2025. Yes.
this very second, I'd say. They look like a top car right now. So I'm gonna take Ferrari to get double podium, but behind Max, of course. And as I always do, I will do the rest of my points finishers. I made the grave mistake of saying Antonelli wouldn't score last week, or 2 weeks ago, whatever, but that did not pan out. So I won't make that mistake again. I'm actually going to take Norris fourth. I'm going to do Tsunoda fifth.
Oh.
I'm going to go Piastri sixth, Antonelli seventh. Oh, wait. Let me not forget him again. Sorry. I almost forgot him for the second straight week.
Man,
Dude, he's not even like forgettable to me. Like I like George Russell, but like when I think about him, I just don't like I don't put him on the podium, so I forget about him. So sorry, Norris fourth, Russell fifth, Tsunoda sixth, no Piastri sixth, Tsunoda seventh, Antonelli eighth. I'm gonna go. Does this feel like a? I'm gonna ask you. Does this feel like a V carb weekend for you?
Sure.
Are you
Put
saying sure?
Hadjar on the points.
Are you saying sure? Do you think I'm doing Hadjar? No.
Oh, Liam Lawson. Hey, it could happen. He's been good.
No, I'm gonna go with Williams. I'm gonna go Albon 9, and I'm gonna go. You know what? We'll give Hulkenberg a point. We'll go Hulkenberg 10.
Okay.
That's what I'm gonna go with. That's my predictions this week. Do you want to give any point scores? Anything crazy that you think? That doesn't have to be the whole results, of course, but.
Nope, I got nothing. I got no crazy predictions for this weekend. If we have rain, I have no idea who's gonna win it.
Watch out for Lance Stroll.
Lance Stroll will probably qualify on pole if we get a rainy qualifying.
I'm telling you guys. Watch out.
I will say this: if we get rain this weekend, Hamilton will get his first podium with Ferrari. I just don't think I can't be so sure of us getting a rainy weekend that I could make that prediction. So I'm gonna have Leclerc on my podium rather than Hamilton.
Yeah, if it rains, guys, just put Lance in my points. I put him anywhere. I don't care where he scores. He'll be in my points off of my podium. I don't know where. Somewhere in the top 10.
You're not gonna have him on the podium? Come on now.
No. Him and Alonso will both score if it rains, by the way. But that's if it rains. Yeah, those are my predictions on the F1 side of things. I mean, so I guess that would be what? So let's do the hypotheticals here. Where do you have Piastri finishing? That's the only thing I need to know from you. You had to give me a spot.
Fifth. I'll put him fifth. Hamilton fourth, Piastri fifth.
Okay, so that's fine. So you have Verstappen, Norris, and then Piastri's fifth. So that would mean Verstappen closes up by 7 to Norris, and Piastri loses out. What is that? So 10. He loses out by 8. So Piastri would fall back to -9.
Oh yeah, 8 to Norris. Yeah.
So Piastri would be -9 with you, and Verstappen would be -29. Right? My math is right. Yeah. Okay. If I have the results the way I have them go, Verstappen. Well, I had Verstappen double Ferrari, and then Norris 4th and Piastri 6th. So that would mean Verstappen closes up by 13, which makes it he's only 23 back, and I think Norris extends his gap by 4, so Piastri 5 back, if it goes the way I think it will go. Other than that, I have nothing crazy this weekend. I don't know about you, but it would be quite interesting to me if we had somebody funny score some points. Like I want to see Colapinto or somebody score. Like it'd be so funny. Like it'd just be such a random thing.
Could happen. Yeah. You never know.
Ooh, I didn't put signs on my points. I've cursed him back-to-back weeks.
Oh
yeah,
he just got on the podium.
Yeah, he's scoring a podium now because I didn't predict it to score points. Like,
winning the race.
See, like, what is this beef that he has with me? Every time I predict him to do well,
it's beef that you have with him.
No,
don't deflect.
No, I'm
you
deflecting.
were the one that called him out on the show.
He also, but since then, Whenever I predict him to not score, he scores. Whenever I predict him to score, he doesn't score. So I don't
It's
know.
karma. You can't.
Okay, so you know what? Give me Signs getting 10th. I'm sorry to Hulkenberg. Give me Signs 10th. I'm changing my prediction there.
You, okay.
You know what? Because I can't live with the consciousness
You
of
you
him.
had a southern accent right there. Like I can't do it. I
I
can't in my conscious.
spent too much time with our Kentuckian friend. I can't live with him being a point scorer this weekend. So give me him 10th. That's
Wow.
contradictory.
Wow.
Um, so yeah, that's about what I got for F1. I feel like we need to talk about this. I want to. I saw somebody ask me this question about like a couple weeks ago, and I never brought it up. But I wanted to know. Obviously, we talk about NASCAR. They have their playoff format. What would you think, just in the midfield, if F1 had a playoff format? Like, let's just say the top five were excused, right? So take the top five. They don't make a playoff. They're just fighting for their championship. But like sixth through, I don't know, an 18th in this case, they're all in the playoffs. They're fighting for sixth place based off playoffs. How much fun do you think that would be, theoretically?
I'm not sure, honestly. I don't know how much of a difference it would make. I think it would certainly it, because the midfield drivers aren't scoring much anyway. I feel like you'd end up getting most of the guys who should advance will be the ones that advance, if that makes sense. It would be interesting to see play out. Someone should go in and do a hypothetical version of that. I might do that now that you've brought it up.
Maybe we should do that for the 2025 season and see. We'll take the top.
Potentially
Actually, we'll do 8. We won't do 12. So let's say it'd be like sixth, or we'll take the top 3 teams out. So it'll be seventh through what?
15.
No, seventh through seventh through 15th. Yeah. So those. Wait, is that the right amount? I think it's 14. Wait, yeah, it's 8. So seventh through 14th. The seventh place. 7, 8,
Oh, you
10,
mean
9,
like
10.
8
And,
positions?
Okay. Yeah, 8 positions. So 7th through 14th in points from whatever point we choose. We'll do the playoffs. Let's see how it goes.
Gosh, I'm
Winner,
down to do it.
winner take all in
We know
Abu
someone who would definitely do
Dhabi.
that.
I know a few people who would definitely do that. I had another F1 question I wanted to ask you here because I'm spitballing.
Spitball.
Filling some time here. Do you think, um, if everything goes according to plan for Ferrari next year, do you think Lewis will stay past his contract in 27?
What is going to plan? What does that mean for Lewis?
If Ferrari nails the car, right, and they've got a competitive car for the next couple of years because they nailed the regulations, do you think Lewis stays longer than his contract period? Because I know there's the rumor that he retires, obviously. Do you think he'd retire still, or do you think he'd consider staying around?
What is his performance relative to Leclerc?
What do you mean?
Like, is he beating Leclerc or is Leclerc beating him?
I don't know. That's the thing. Like Ferraris. I mean, you know how Ferrari is. They're not. They're gonna kind of try and make. They're gonna screw something up. So I mean, you tell me.
Look, if he, so it depends on his performance relative to Leclerc. If Leclerc wipes him away, then I don't think he does. But if he's close to Leclerc, he doesn't necessarily have to beat Leclerc. But if he's like neck and neck with Leclerc and they're both pitching a title fight, similarly to Norris and Piastri this year, then I think Hamilton does stay because I think the fire for an 8th title is absolutely still there. And so as long as he has the speed and the self-confidence to do so, which I'm not sure he does right now. I don't think he has the self-confidence right now to get it done. We heard him at I believe, Hungary when he missed, when he was out in Q1. He's like, oh, I suck, man. I'm awful. That's not a self-confident 7-time Lewis Hamilton champion that we know. So if the confidence is there, we know the speed is certainly there. He still shows his flashes at time to time. So if he does all of that, I think he will stay.
I guess only time will tell. F1 is simply, again, like I said it with Kyle Busch, I say it with Lewis Hamilton. F1 is doing better when Lewis Hamilton is running towards the front of the field. Just is. Just is. It does not do better when Lando Norris is winning races. Didn't say that. But I did want to end this. I mentioned it earlier about 20 minutes ago. I want to come back to this. I wanted to mention the NASCAR playoffs. This is the last thing I want to end this video with. So the playoffs are being very heavily rumored. I think it was all but confirmed. It might have been confirmed that they're doing away with the playoff format. At least this version of it. So I don't think actually it may not have been confirmed. I don't know. It's been rumored at least, right? That they will get rid of the 16, 12, 4, 8, 4, and the one race for the finale format. The heavily rumored one is that they'll do 16, 12, and then 8, I think. And then do 3 races, 3 races, 4 races. I'm not entirely sure. I've heard different iterations of different things.
I'm not sure about the eliminations. I know that the drivers. I know that the race count is rumored to be 4, 4, 3.
No, it'd be 3, 3, 4, I think.
Or 3, 3, 4.
Yeah.
But I haven't heard about the eliminations yet.
Either way.
Who knows? We're all kind of speculating at this point.
My question to you is, with that being said, 2 things. 1, and I'll get to them in a second. Do you think that this playoff format, for what it was intended to do, was successful?
I don't think so. If NASCAR achieved what they wanted, I don't think the fans got what they wanted.
Now, do you think NASCAR achieved what they wanted with this?
I think NASCAR did achieve what they wanted because they wanted drivers to step it up at the end of the year. They wanted what Penske did, which is what we see teams in stick and ball sports do, which is use the regular season as experimentation and then step it up in the playoffs to win the championship. I think that's what NASCAR wanted, but I don't think that's what the fans wanted. I think the fans wanted a fun elimination style playoff that had the drivers that were trying in all 36 races from the regular season to the championship race and were at the top of the regular standings to be the ones that would still win the championship. And that's not what we got. So, and the viewership over the last couple of years has gone up. There was a bit of a dip. Now it's back on the rise. So I think NASCAR feels that it was a success. Obviously, they've been saying this is what we want. You know, this is.
They've been voicing that. I mean, however true it is, we don't know, but they've been voicing it.
Yeah.
What they want.
But it's also interesting because if they truly are going to change it, it's almost like they're saying we don't like what we got.
They're backing up on what they said.
Yeah, it's definitely an interesting debate.
I think NASCAR. I agree. I think NASCAR achieved what they wanted. They wanted entertainment before anything else. That's what they wanted, and they got it. I mean, look, I can count you more than 25 moments that have happened in this format. I mean, just to name a few, there was Harvick at Martinsville in 2020. There was this past playoffs. There was the whole Kansas race with all the Toyotas. There was. I'm blanking out now that I'm thinking on the spot. There was the Carl Edwards block at Homestead. We talked about that earlier. There was
Hale Mellon.
There's Hale Mellon. Like there is tons of moments that have come out of these playoffs, right? You even think back to Ryan Newman being winless in 2014, the first iteration of this format, almost won the championship. I mean, like there's been moments after moment. So they achieved the entertainment aspect. Don't get me wrong, but I think realizing that all their fans they got with this format are now getting older. They're now realizing the evident flaws with this format. They all want it changed. So that is what I think of that. My other question to you was, we're in the perfect spot right now to be hypothetical, right? Because the whole rumor is they're changing it. So if you had to say, what would you change your playoff format to?
I would not have a playoffs. I would have just a full season format. Just let them have at it. But if I were to change it, I would change it to the normal chase format that we have because I believe that is almost as good. It's actually probably identical to a full season format in terms of how I feel about it. I would like to see a full season format because then we can remove these hypothetical. I'm so sick of hearing about
me and you are going to have a huge argument in about a month about a certain driver and his wins, his chaseless performance.
Yeah, I mean, I'm so sick of hearing about that because if we just did a full season format, we wouldn't have those hypotheticals. And I truly believe that all of the drivers that succeed in the playoffs would succeed in the regular season. I think people who like to discredit Logano and Blaney for their championships, you can discredit their championships. You can't discredit them as drivers for their accomplishments because of how talented they actually are. You can look at their championships and be like, oh, they weren't the best driver in the regular season, so we're not going to give them credit for the championship. But them as drivers, they had the talent and they stepped it up at the end. and they clearly were not given the equipment to be the best driver in the regular season, because that's not the team that Penske is. They are a go for championships type of team. They're not setting their drivers up to be the top driver in the regular season. So guess what? If you go to a full season format, guess what? Guess what Penske can do? They can give their drivers good cars all year round,
That's
in theory. But guess what?
that's a theory.
It wouldn't be in theory. We would be able to actually watch it play out.
And that's a spoiler for how I know how you feel about when we get to some rankings or later in this offseason. But I guess I'll give you my answer to this. If I had to rank it, I'd have number one just do 36 races. Just straight up do the 36 races. If it has to be a chase, do the 10-man. Don't do don't do 10-man. Don't do the 10-man. I misspoke. Do not do 10 drivers. I think if you're going to do a chase, just do 12, because I think this field is more competitive than it was 50 or 20 years ago, equipment-wise. So I think, based on that, make it 12 drivers. And then I have the playoff system. If it was to have to stay at third, please do not do 3-3 or 4-3-3-4, whatever it's going to be. I actually would just prefer keeping this, just because it's more simple, honestly, if you ask me. I know that sounds crazy, but even though the other one's probably better, I think this is more simple if you're trying to attract fans. But my format, if I got to do it the way I wanted, I have a hypothetical ones. I do these all the time, but my personal one that I'd like to see if they were going to do a playoff, I'd like to see it be 16 drivers still. But and I know that this has been thrown out. Lock the top 8. Top 8 automatically to the round of 12. Top 6 automatically to the round of 8. Top 3 or top 2 automatically to the championship 4. And you fight from there. I think that would be the way I would do it, personally. And get rid of winning you're in, please. Oh my God.
Yeah, winning you're in is the worst rule.
That is the worst part. I feel like the playoffs would not have nearly as much criticism if it wasn't for that rule. But winning you're in, and then getting rid of the top 30
would be pretty good without them. But
be interesting, at least. We wouldn't have had some of the wasted playoff spots that we've had. I'm sorry, I love Harrison Burton, but my goodness.
And then the whole 22 debacle with Truex not making the playoffs.
As a top 5 driver in point, it should never have happened. Should never have happened.
Yeah.
Should be the top 16 drivers on points at minimum if we're going to do this format. Minimum. But yeah,
it's kind of crazy because that year's champion Joey Logano was battling Truex and points.
Him, Blaney, and Truex.
Yeah,
we're all battling.
Literally, all of the final 4. Logano and Elliott were ahead of them, but they weren't ahead by too much. And then Chastain and Bell were behind Truex. So half of the final 4 that year
at the time,
Blaney
entered that Daytona race second. Logano was splitting Truex and Blaney at the time. It was third, and then Truex was fourth, and then it was, I think, Bell and Chastain. So I don't know, man. We could sit here and go back and forth all day about what could have been and whatnot, but that's the whole point of what I hate about this format. I love hypotheticals because I like doing it in my free time, but man, as a raw fan just who loves racing, get rid of these hypotheticals. I want to see 36 races so I can see who really just has the equipment, who has the ability. So give me that. That way I can I don't have to hear Jeff Gordon fans for the next 25 years complain to me about how their driver got screwed by these bogus formats. I can hear about somebody else.
Oh yeah, Jeff Gordon.
Dude, nothing. We'll get to that. We have a whole lot of off-season content, which leads me to ending this video. We have a whole lot of off-season content headed your guys' way. The NASCAR season, which obviously correlated to us starting this podcast, kind of. It worked out the way it did, but. Episode 10 is when we headed to episode 11 next week. We have a lot of stuff planned for you for the off season, which we are very excited to get to next week. In particular, we might have some talent to discuss. If you catch my drift, we might have some talent to discuss, but we'll get to that next week and plenty more. We'll try and keep up with any other silly season moves as they come along throughout the end of this season. But all is pretty much confirmed on the Cup side. Unless, of course, Hamlin retires, and we're just waiting on confirmation on the colleague 10 car, if I'm correct. So, other than that, thank you guys so much for joining us on Sideline to Speedway, and we will see you guys next week for whatever we have in store.
Thank you, guys.